What's the dumbest way someone tried to turn a minor accident into a payday? I've been in construction most of my life. Started working summers when I was 14, learning everything I could from the ground up. Now at 22, I run a few crews as a foreman and make a solid living. My truck is my pride. A new lifted F350 that can tow trailers, carry heavy gear, and get through muddy job sites without blinking. One night a few months back, I got off work completely drained. Cooking wasn't happening, so I hit McDonald's for a Big Mac. I pulled through the drive-thru, got my food, and started creeping out toward the exit. I was glancing left to check traffic, not really paying full attention ahead, when my front end tapped the side mirror and scraped the door of the car in front of me. I immediately reversed, hopped out, and asked if the guy was okay. He looked annoyed but calm. We'll call him Brent. I apologized and offered to call the cops, but he waved it off. Nah man, it's all good. Just give me your insurance info. Since it happened in a private parking lot, police weren't required, so I agreed. We exchanged info and I told him I'd rather just pay cash than go through insurance. He seemed fine with that. A month went by and I didn't hear a thing. Then Brent called, saying he finally got a quote from the shop, $2,403. It was more than I expected for a small scrape, but I said fine, get it done, and I'll take care of the bill afterward. He thanked me and hung up. Another month passed, and again, no word. Then he called back saying the shop couldn't take him in for 2 more weeks and might charge more if they found extra damage. He said after talking with his wife, he'd be fine if I just gave him $2,500 and we'd call it even. That felt odd. Most people would rather have their car fixed properly, but I agreed to meet him once he was ready. Another month later, nothing. Then out of nowhere, around 11 p.m., he texted asking to meet up that night. I had work at 5 a.m., but I just wanted it over with. I grabbed $2,500 cash and wrote up a quick contract stating that this payment would settle the matter in full and release me from any future liability. I met him in town, handed over the cash, and he barely looked at the paper before signing it. He didn't even want a copy. Red flag. But I took a photo for my records and went home relieved it was done. A month later, I got a letter in the mail, a notice from Brent's lawyer. He was suing me for failing to pay for damages after a hit and run. I was stunned. I tried calling him, but he'd blocked me. Luckily, my girlfriend works for a lawyer, so I explained everything and handed over the texts, the photos, and that signed contract. My lawyer smiled and said, "You just saved yourself thousands." In my state, any written agreement over $500 is legally enforceable in court. Then I remembered something. Brent's car had his company logo on the side. I still had a picture of it from the accident, so I looked it up on the Better Business Bureau website. That's when everything clicked. Brent owned that company. And guess what? It had a dozen one-star reviews, all accusing him of doing shady business, quoting one price and charging 4 times more later. Sound familiar? The original estimate was $2,403, but now he was suing me for $10,000. He was pulling the same scam he ran on his customers. My lawyer gathered all the proof, the signed contract, the texts, the BBB complaints, and we went to court. Brent showed up grinning, wearing a smug look that made me wish I'd brought popcorn. "You ready to give me some of daddy's money?" he said, assuming I was just some spoiled kid because I drove a nice truck. His lawyer started off strong, claiming I'd fled the scene and pressured Brent into a low offer. But then my lawyer stood up and calmly handed the judge a neat stack of papers, the text messages, the photos, the contract signed by Brent himself, and finally, the BBB printouts showing his shady history. The color drained from Brent's lawyer's face. The judge flipped through the papers, frowned, and asked Brent if he had anything else to say. Brent, in a moment of pure genius, said, "I don't even have the $2,500 anymore. Can I just get that back and we'll call it good?" He admitted right there that I'd already paid him. The judge leaned back, sighed, and said he'd seen enough. He ruled completely in my favor, ordering Brent to pay my legal fees and compensate me for lost wages since I had to take the day off for court. That was the best part. My crew happened to be working a high-paying contract that day, and as foreman, I earned $475 an hour. The court process took nearly 5 hours. With legal fees added, Brent owed me just under $5,000. I walked out of that courthouse with the biggest grin of my life. I went from thinking I'd lose thousands to watching the scammer pay me instead, all because I trusted my gut, got everything in writing, and kept the receipts.